attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello there, those of you that can hear me, send me a quick chat or a note or raise your hand. Just want to know that you can hear me out there. This is a kind of a one-way transmit only, the way this thing is set up. I don't think I can add mics on here. I'm going to try to do that a little bit later. But if you know of anybody that might be interested in listening to this, it's still time. Send them that memo. They can certainly register if they want to. I tried to make this convenient to be around lunchtime. I know people like to get out during lunch, but it's still cold out there. So maybe we'll get a few attendees. So I'm just going to wait a minute or two before we actually get started. And I'm going to record the session so that people will be able to look at this at some later time, especially if we get some good feedback on it. So we have a small group, but that's okay. Anyone that is interested, it's nice to have you here. And hi, Teresa, how are you? If you hear me, would you just raise your hand just so I can see that you're there? Okay, Holly is on there. Okay, Holly, all right. Bilal has made it. Okay, all right. We've got a crowd. That's a good thing. Okay, I'm going to get started on this right away, and the reason that I'm doing this mainly is because we have this chapter team building and leadership session coming up this weekend, and unfortunately I have a previous engagement that I have to be at, and I had made that arrangement a while back, so I can't be there in person, but certainly want to provide some contribution to the session. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of get right into it, and I'll be asking you some questions. So what I'd like you to do is send some questions. Just say hello using the chat box or the question box, just so I can see that it's able to work okay. I see hi. That's Malini, I think. Yeah. Okay. So if you have an opportunity to send in a note, say hi, where you are, who you are, just greetings. Thanks for being here today. This is going to be a little bit informal, but the idea is that all of you, I believe, are either volunteers or put in a leadership position at the PMI New York City chapter, or you might even be thinking about stepping up to a leadership position. And I have always professed continuously that when you become a project manager, you are put in a leadership position. And so my focus of late has really been on leadership. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about team building, influencing, and leadership, some techniques for developing your team to create a high-performing team. And what I'd like is occasionally I will ask a question, and I'd like you to respond using the chat box. The chat box will be important for us to maintain a two-way communication and also to keep this a fairly interactive session. Okay, so team building, influencing, and leadership, kind of a big combination of things that are important to any particular project manager. I picked a quote. This is from Michael Phelps, and I think everybody knows who he is, Olympic champion, 8 gold medals, 2008, making a comeback again. And he said it was the team that made it happen. My success was dependent upon the team. We did it together. And that's pretty important. So if we really think about it, you've all heard all kinds of things about team, no I in team and all that. But the important thing is that there might be an anchor person and there might be a leader, but we don't get anything done unless we're doing it together as a team. And that goes for the New York City chapter and any other organization that you might belong to. So here's what we're going to talk about, a couple of objectives, factors that influence you and how you influence others. Okay, and think about that. I think some of you probably are pretty good at influencing, establishing relationships with other people and so on. So maybe we're going to share a little bit of that information. Also, identify some skills for developing effective project teams. Okay, and also to describe techniques that will improve your effectiveness when influencing people and attempting to obtain commitment. One of the things that we have to strive for with the chapter and in any organization that needs volunteers is that we have to get people to actually commit, not to be involved, but to actually commit to the work that has to be done. To describe techniques that will improve communication skills for more effective teamwork. And I have a few questions for you about your communications capabilities. Okay, and then basically I want to make sure that this is an interactive learning environment. Now we have just about an hour in which to accomplish a lot, but I want to make sure that I get some feedback from you as we go forward. So make sure that you take the time and share your thoughts using the chat box. Now I have a couple of questions for you that I'm going to ask you to answer. This is kind of a fun part of the program. But I have 4 questions. It's about meeting the leadership challenge. So and just write your answers down, whether it's an A, B, C, or D, and then I'll give you the answers later. If you are angry or disappointed with an employee's actions, you are likely to A, express your disappointment or displeasure. B, let the person discover the consequences of his or her actions. C, think about the message you want to convey, then act accordingly. Or D, eat a carton of Twinkies to bury your disappointment. So is that an A, B, C, or D as your answer? Okay, next question. Okay, the most important trait for you to display when leading a team is the wisdom of Solomon, the inspirational power of Dr. Martin Luther King, the patience of Job, or the restraint of Adam Sandler in anger management. Is it A, B, C, or D? Okay, think about that for a second. I'm going to go to the next question. Okay, when one of your people admits a mistake, the first thing you should do is A, show your support. It's great that you can admit your mistake. B, downplay the mistake impact. Don't worry about it. C, gently chastise the person. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. D, ask follow-up questions, like what else have you screwed up on? Okay, is it A, B, C, or D? Okay, and then one more question, and that is, whoops, got to go back one. I think I might have missed one question. Okay, here's one. This is question number 3, actually. I'm going to back up here. Okay, question number 3. When you lead a department meeting, you sum up the meeting's purpose and warm up the crowd with a quick 15-minute monologue. Ask open-ended questions and lead discussions. Place a staff member in charge and observe the group dynamics. Fall asleep during old business. Is it A, B, C, or D? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up to the first question and just number them 1, 2, 3, 4, check your answers, and then I'll give you the answers, okay? So here's the first question. If you are angry or disappointed with an employee's actions, you are likely to. Is it A, B, C, or D? That's question number 1. Okay, question number 2. The most important trait for you to display when leading a team is. Your answer for question number 2, is it A, B, C, or D? Okay. Question number 3, when you lead a department meeting, is it sum up the meeting's purpose and warm up the crowd, ask for open-ended questions and lead discussions, place a staff member in charge and observe the group dynamics, or D, fall asleep during old business? And question number 4, when one of your people admits a mistake, the first thing you should do is what? Show support, downplay the mistake, gently chastise the person, or ask follow-up questions. Okay, now that you have your answers to questions 1, 2, 3, and 4, here are the answers, or what we think are the answers. Okay, for question 1C, leaders think before they speak. So make sure that you take the time to actually think about your words and your thoughts and what you're going to say before you actually say it. Next one is B. All are valuable, but people who can't inspire aren't leaders. So we need to inspire other people by our actions and our deeds. Number 3B. Leaders ask piercing questions and encourage free-flowing discussion. So get the discussions going. Ask those questions and look for responses. And the fourth one is A. Leaders support people who acknowledge their errors. And this comes from executive leadership. You can get more of these at www.execleadership.com. Okay, now, some more questions for you, something to think about. You all have a team. Now, you might be leading a team or you might be part of a team. So the question is, or the statement that you should complete is, my team is not a high-performing team because. Now, I'm not asking you to share any of that information, but if you have a team that you don't believe is high-performing, you may want to make a note to yourself. Why is that? Why is it not a high-performing team? Okay, next question. My team is not performing at its highest level because. Okay, the next question. My team is the most efficient, energized, productive, and sought-after team in my entire organization because. So if you have a team that is doing a great job, it's being recognized by your management, your executives, and people from other departments, why is that? Why is your team the most efficient, energized, productive, and sought-after team? Now, if you have a team like that that you're working on, maybe you can share something in the chat box. So anybody working on a team that is most efficient, energized, productive, sought after? Anybody want to comment on that? Just send me a note via the chat box or the question. Okay, I'm not seeing any response there, so I'm guessing that maybe we have the teams that are not as productive as they could be, or maybe the organization is not recognizing. And you have to start thinking about that. You know, why do we have that situation? So let's see. We are performing, but not at this highest level. We're still synergizing. Teresa, excellent. Okay, well, if you are growing and synergizing, that is definitely a positive sign. So you want to keep on doing that. Maybe some of these things that I'll share with you will help with that synergy. Now, management's challenge, we have people that are involved in what we call time theft. The question is, why do employees purposely abuse time? If you think about any organization that you've been in, I'm sure you found people who were not being productive, that they were actually wasting time, and they were doing it for a reason. Not by accident, not because they were incompetent, but they actually had a purpose. But you'll find that high-quality performers will give 75 to 100% of their energy in all its forms toward productive work. Okay, and sometimes they'll give 110%, and I think we see that with volunteers in the PMI chapters, the New York City chapter, and many other chapters that I've experienced. Okay, giving time versus giving energy. Now the key here is to make sure that the time that you spend is productive time, so that you want to make sure that the energy that you're spending is going to maximize the time that you're given, and that you're going to produce the maximum amount. Okay, I have the one caution though, is we can't work at 100% efficiency every day. We have to judge that, because we could actually burn ourselves out. But if we're giving between that 75 and 100% of our energy toward productive work, you're doing value-adding work for your organization, whether it's PMI, whether it's the organization that you actually belong to. Now, team environment. Ask yourself, what are the factors and attributes that are currently helping your team reach high performance? Or what are the factors that are preventing it? So let me just go back to the chat box there. Any comments on that? If your team is in these situations, you know, what are the factors that are currently helping your team reach high performance? Teresa, maybe you said you're still synergizing. Are you doing anything that's helping the team to grow? If you're in a team that doesn't seem to be going anywhere, what's preventing it? So let me just see if we have any comments based on those questions. Okay, biweekly information exchange meetings from Teresa. Okay, Bilal, being able to speak with each other in an open manner, speaking early and often, Holly is saying. Okay, Holly has a daily scrum. That's great. Okay, which means that people are getting a lot of information quickly, and it's relevant, and they're able to act on it very, very quickly. So that's great. Okay, if you're not synergizing, if you're not moving towards this high-performance team, you need to start thinking about what's preventing it. Is it leadership? Is it, well, we'll talk a little bit more about some of those things as we go forward. Okay, now here is a fun exercise. I really like this exercise, and I would like you to kind of use your imagination. But in the work environment, okay, there are people, or there are phrases that people use that will absolutely shut down communication, destroy teamwork and collaboration and creativity. What are some of the phrases that you have heard from maybe other team members, leadership people, executives, managers, anyone that can just simply stop teamwork and communication in its tracks? I'm just interested in some of your comments. So if you can, just share a few of those items with us. Okay? Okay, let's see, we have too costly. We have tried that before and it didn't work. That will never work. Okay, Holly says making progress transparent to all stakeholders with Kanban board. That's great. That's more on the positive side. Okay, that will never work. We have tried it before. Too costly. Okay, how about you're wrong, or just plain no, or what were you thinking, or we can't do that here. We don't have the time. Maybe it's a stupid idea, you know, things like that. Developers that did not involve the users in the business requirements gathering. Okay, if you don't ask the right people, you are definitely going to create some issues there. But the idea here is that we are constantly subjected to, and probably we have, on occasion, said something, some phrase, whether we meant to say it or not. It came out and it caused a shutdown in communication, collaboration, and creativity. And those are some things that we need to think about. We have to be much more conscious of the words that we use when we're talking to people. Communication stoppers include being very, very judgmental, some air of superiority, being absolutely positively certain about everything, wanting to control things, and finding ways to manipulate people. These are things that will stop communications and stop teamwork. And we need to think about that. And there might be people on your teams that are doing these things, and these are things that we need to start to address. And if we're conscious of it, we can make some attempts to change it. Now, another factor that's important in teamwork is acknowledgement. And this acknowledgement principle comes from a book by Judy Umlis called The Power of Acknowledgement, and her #1 principle of acknowledgement is the world is full of people who deserve to be acknowledged. So make sure that you take some time, maybe even today, and acknowledge someone near you or someone in your work that has done something outstanding, and make it a very sincere acknowledgement. And also, this is a challenge, but really important, is that you might acknowledge someone you are jealous of. You have to start thinking about, you know, why are you jealous? And there's probably a reason for it, but rather than focus on the jealousy, focus on whatever that talent is that that individual has, and acknowledge them for that talent. Now, I have Newton's first law here says a body in motion stays in motion, and I have Frank's corollary to Newton's first law, which states a leader in motion stays in motion, a business unit or component in motion stays in motion. So keep building and growing and maintain momentum. This is really important, and I think you all feel that. In terms of volunteer leaders, when you see a sense of accomplishment, you want to do more. And that's what we're talking about, is finding a way to do more for the organization, finding the appropriate things to do. In our environment, we're all influenced by people in some way or another. No matter what we do, we are being continuously influenced by the things that happen around us, and we need to be very, very conscious of our environment and help to shape that environment. Now, something that you need to be aware of as a leader is if you force people to do something and you're not listening to their point of view, they're going to have an impression of you, and that's going to last for a very, very long time. You're stuck with it unless you try to find ways to change so that you can be seen differently as more of a value-adding advocate for positive thinking, creativity, and teamwork. These are the things that you need to think about. Okay, being a bully, bludgeoning, or haranguing don't work. People will remember the experience. So our goal really is collaboration, really collaboration, listening to what other people have to say. Now, influencing, which is a major factor in leadership, okay, is really understanding yourself and the effect or impact you have on others. And you have to think, how do I do that? How do I influence people positively to kind of work with me and to buy into some of my ideas? Okay, it says sometimes here it's one way, but the primary relationship is a two-way street, and you want to make sure that you have a very positive way about how you work with people and how other people perceive you. All right? So, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how technically savvy, I think all of us will agree that we cannot get anything done unless we have support and cooperation of other people. So the question then becomes, what are the crucial skills you need to build positive or effective working relationships with everyone? So now that doesn't mean that you want to be friends with everyone. We're not talking about being friends and pals. But in order to build these positive or effective working relationships, what are some of the things you have to do? So I'm going to go back to the question and just share your thoughts. You know, what are some of the critical skills? And Holly, yeah, this slide presentation will be available. Teresa says active listening, very key, very key. Okay. Anything else? Skills that would help us to build that relationship with other people. Okay, that's important. Empathy is another one. Okay, being able to listen to others and their ideas. Listening is absolutely the key here. I use a quote from Stephen Covey, who says in the 7 habits, I think it's habit number 3, is seek first to understand and then to be understood. So this is very important, and you've got to think about that. You know, if you're very good at establishing relationships with people, you know, what is it that you do? Now, the top 5 key competencies of a project manager, and I've got 7 listed here, but I've done a study over many years, and they consistently come up with these same things. Okay, communications, verbal and written skills, leadership skills, organizing skills, which means planning and time management, the project management part, interpersonal skills, which is associated with problem solving, collaborating, consensus building, managing conflict. Of course, negotiating skills, diplomacy, and mediating, you know, getting the things that you need to accomplish your objectives, you know, like obtaining resources. Team building came in at number 6, but technical skills came in at number 7, and most of this input comes from people who are in technical jobs, technical project managers, and they felt that the soft skills were actually more important than the technical skills of the particular work that's being done. And I think that's important for all of us to keep in mind. The important thing here also is that I think the project manager does need to understand the technology, but you don't have to be the expert. We have functional managers that are the experts, and we need to tap into their expertise, and we don't have to dive into the nuts and bolts of every project that we work on. Okay? Now, if you think about people who are influential, and this is a self-reflection, think about people who have really and truly influenced you. And I know we don't have a lot of time here. You might want to jot down a few of these people. But then think about, you know, how has this person actually influenced you? What were their characteristics, their behaviors? How do you associate this person with this being influenced? You know, what did they do? How did they impress you? Okay, I just want to give you time to think about that for a minute. If you care to share, not the name, but the characteristics of these individuals, then just share that in the chat box. I want to take a look at some of your answers. Okay, let people know you are available to listen. Can you elaborate on leadership skills? Which ones are the key ones? Well, I think I'll talk about that in just a little while. I think that was a question from Teresa. And I can tell you one thing, the number one skill of the leader is the ability to really focus on listening to the constituents. Extremely important to do that. Someone said that my grandmother, being patient, listen to others, and be respectful. Okay, we want to be respectful of other people for sure. Now let me show you a list of these items here that probably associate with people that you have found influential. Okay, and look at this whole list. Now I can't read all of these items, but if you take a look at it, I'm pretty sure that people who have influenced you have demonstrated these behaviors and these traits. Most of these, I think, are somewhat familiar. They have passion, they're creative, they have humility. They might be business savvy, they're great communicators, they have courage, they have strong beliefs and values. These are the kinds of things that I believe that will influence most of us, and it may not be a 100% complete list, but it is a list that probably is fairly comprehensive. Now, let's think about teams that have been highly influential in your life. If you are working on a high-performing team, and before I show the list of characteristics, I'm going back to your question box there, or your chat box. Okay, have you ever been on a high-performing team, and what do you remember about that team? What was it about that team that was so great that you truly enjoyed being on it, and they were really a high-performing team? They did a lot of things. Okay. I hope I pronounced your name right, but Malini says trust. Trust. Teresa says highly organized and collaborative. Bilal says being able to anticipate. That's a good one. Okay, anticipate what's going to come next and be supportive of each other. Clark Webb says the openness and willingness to share. Okay, so I think all of us have actually experienced a high-performing team, well prepared for the task at hand. Teresa, excellent. We want to have the right people. We want the right skills. We want to train people to be prepared. These are excellent comments and things that we should really kind of focus on any team that we build. Okay, here are some characteristics. Again, take a look at what you have you might have been thinking about, and what really would be associated, I think, anyway, with a high-performing team. You notice it says dialogue instead of debate. And an important item, and this is extremely important for all of us as volunteers, is the balance between work and home life. This is absolutely, positively an important item and a priority that you need to think about. You all have a common purpose, a respect for diversity. You can see this is a very comprehensive list. And I think that most of you, if you have worked on a high-performing team, you would say that many of them, these characteristics, are associated with the high-performing team. Now, achieving teamwork. A lot of information here. I'm just going to go over the bullet items really quick. Focus on challenges, not the team itself. What is it that has to be done? The team will actually come together with some leadership to meet the challenge. Teamwork begins maybe with a single person. If you're familiar with the U.S. hockey team that beat the Russians, and the movie was Miracle, Ruzioni was the person on the team who was the catalyst that created that high-performing team. So it only takes one person. It gets contagious. One set of books. Make sure that you have one set of commitments, and make sure that you don't vary your commitments and change your priorities based on who you happen to be talking to. If you have a setback, or if you have a problem, maybe there's something that didn't work out right, it's resiliency that's the key. Okay, you need to bounce back. Okay, And we're going to have difficulties, and we're going to find ways to deal with those difficulties and those obstacles. Okay, and if there's resistance, find ways to overcome that resistance through collaboration. When you're a winner, people get on board. They actually want to become part of what you're doing, mainly because you make things happen. And how do you do that? Well, actually, you do that through other people. And it's not a one-time event. Team building is constant. It's ongoing. You want to look at short-term wins, long-term wins, and what you want to do is create capabilities and value that are going to last well beyond the team. The team will eventually disband and go on to other work, but your contribution should be something that will last a long time. Now, here are the 8 attributes of a high-performing team. Participative leadership. This is absolutely critical, especially in the volunteer environment. You know, PMI leaders are all volunteers, and the structure in a volunteer organization is very different than in a corporate structure. We need to have that participative leadership and keep people informed. Shared responsibility for the benefit and the value and the ongoing objectives of the organization. That we have purpose, that we are aligned on a purpose for moving forward. We're very good at communicating, and we communicate a lot. And we need to communicate not only to the membership, but to the volunteers and all the volunteer leaders. We need to form this very, very tight-knit network. We need to stay focused on future strategies. We need to get things done, so we have tasks to accomplish. Let's get those tasks accomplished. Let's focus on being creative, and also that we respond rapidly to issues and challenges. Now, influence, if we define influence, the ability to persuade, convince, or impact others that will motivate people to support your vision. It takes conscious thought to influence people. What are we seeking to accomplish? Who is our audience? And how will we plan to influence? You have to have a strategy for influencing people. It's extremely important. And it's not about manipulation, and it's not about forcing. It's about getting people to actually buy in to your agenda. Okay, that's what we're talking about here, is that you have a great idea. You need to get people to buy into it. How are you going to do that? Okay, so that's pretty important. Now, the assumptions of influence, what we have here is that we believe there are certain behaviors that we would display that will have an impact or an effect on other people when we're trying to accomplish a goal. So we have a belief about, well, if I behave this way, I'll get people to follow me. Okay? The point here is you need to make an impression in order for people to accept and commit to what it is you want to accomplish. Now, I have a question for you again, and that is, why are first impressions so important? If anybody wants to share maybe a thought on that. Why are impressions so important? Kind of think about that for a minute. You know, you're walking into a new team. Let's see, Teresa says you get either on board with the team or dismiss them based on what you heard and saw. Okay, that's important. I mean, if you kind of make an assessment or jump to a conclusion before you have all the facts, people are going to sense that. They're going to sense that in your body language, your facial expressions. What we want to do here is, Bilal says, get on the same page. You know, set the basis of a relationship, Kona Malini. Okay, it's really important for us to connect with other people in a positive way. And again, I want to stress, it's not about being friends and pals with everyone. We have to kind of establish relationships that will help us to meet our goals, as well as help people to meet their goals. Many people react quickly and remember their first reaction. And you're right, Holly, that is absolutely a critical thing to think about, which means that we have to be very conscious of how we say things, how we respond to a comment, and we've got to watch our sarcasm. Occasionally we're going to experience sarcasm that, to tell you the truth, is not necessary, and that will leave an impression. So these are kinds of things that you need to think about. Okay, again, the important item here is that you're looking to influence people, so we have to do that based on how we display ourselves. What are you planning to accomplish? In order to influence a person, you have to understand there are two parts. There's you, the message source, the objective that you're trying to accomplish, and the audience, whether it's a client, associate, or a potential team member. Remember, this is two-way, okay? So you have to have a clear vision, a goal. You have to have passion for it, but you also need to understand that you have to get this message across to your audience. Now, what actions can you take that will assist you in influencing people to commit to your objectives? How can you convince people to buy into your ideas and your agenda? Any thoughts on that? What action could you personally take that would actually influence other people or cause people to pay attention to you? Okay, Bilal says, think before we speak. That's a good one. Try to know the people on your team. Right. Gets back to what I said before. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. Teresa says, to start and acknowledge them and their contributions. Very important. By the sincere acknowledgement, you are going to really make a connection with people. Make sure that they understand what they will get out of their work. In other words, you have to be aware of something I think most of you are familiar with called WIIFM, which is what's in it for me, right? Nobody does anything for nothing. So really think about from their perspective before you start telling them all the things that you want to accomplish and why it's important to you. Okay? All right, so success and influence is dependent upon credibility, communication, and empathy. Let's take a look at those real quick. All right? Project managers must understand the importance of effective leadership and step up to the role. I constantly tell people project managers are put into a leadership position. Okay? We have to produce the results, and we need to get extraordinary performance. And this goes back to an article that I read way back in 2003. Getting extraordinary performance when you can't pay for it. And that's why, in volunteer environments, strong leadership, participative leadership, and acknowledgement are so critical. But take a look at that quote at the bottom of the slide. The difference between an extraordinary project manager and an ordinary project manager is that little extra. So we can change that to the extraordinary leader, and the ordinary leader is that little extra. So what are you doing that's that extra that's impressing people and basically compelling people to follow you and listen to you and listen to your ideas? So a lot of information here, but credibility. Okay, it's about perception. Make sure that you are credible in that when you commit to do something, that you actually do it, you follow through on it. That don't make promises you can't keep. Don't give a yes answer to everyone. I use a quote from Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby said he doesn't know what the secret to success is, but the secret to failure is to try and please everyone. So make sure that you follow through on what you said. And this is so important for volunteers, anyone that's in a volunteer organization. If you step up to do it, well, people expect you to follow through. Okay? It is a matter of trust. It's a matter of consideration. It basically makes people understand how you see the importance of getting something done, the personal values that are associated with credibility, to the importance of trusting and the actions that you take, being consistent in the way you manage things, your personal style, how reliable you are. If you keep changing your style depending on who you're speaking with, that is going to have a great impact on your credibility. So make sure it's you, and be very proud of who you are. Okay? And don't try to be anybody else. And if you're going to try to impress people by switching gears every 5 minutes, your credibility is going to suffer significantly. Communications. Great quote here. Communication is something so simple and difficult that we can never put it into simple words. Communication. It's about clarity. How well do you communicate? How do you know that your message was received in the way it was intended to be received? Do you get feedback? Do you ask for feedback? Do you ask the right kinds of questions? Do you remove any barriers that might be blocking the ability to communicate? Think about barriers to communication that you experience. Okay, and here's another one. I'd like to get a little feedback on that. What are some of the barriers to communication that you experience in your daily work life, whether it's on a project or just managing people in general or working with other people? What are some of those barriers to communication? Okay, language barriers. Okay, we're working with many, many different cultures. Bilal says, this is from the previous question, value your team's opinions. Okay, language barriers definitely key. Not getting a timely response from people, another barrier. Other barriers that you might want to think about would be age. You know, what we have here is we have the Gen X people and the Gen Y people working with baby boomers. How about speaking without face-to-face interaction? Really important. That's a barrier. We have gender barriers, cultural differences. Teresa said generation barriers are big. Yeah, we have to be very sensitive to that. And I think that we could probably all use some coaching in working better with the differences in the ages. Pretty important. So these are some communications barriers. Ask yourself, how effectively do you transmit your message to the receiver? We use this thing called RNA. Rejection of the message, neutral, not getting a commitment, or A, acceptance. So kind of use that as a tool going forward. RNA. Did my message get rejected? Do I get not really any response or not much of a commitment, or did I get acceptance? Ask yourself, when you communicate, what percentage of your message do you think hits the target? People are being distracted by lots and lots of things, and you know, if you don't hit the target, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to the organization? What does it mean to the project you're working on? You have to ask yourself, you know, how do I improve my message accuracy? Okay, think in terms of, Holly says RNA is helpful to remember and use. Yeah, rejection, neutral, and acceptance. You have to think about your message accuracy. Think in terms of the other person. How do you think they are hearing your message? Okay, have you packaged your message? Is it clear? Is it something that they'll understand? When it comes to communication, think of the content. What is it that you are planning to share? Do you know it well? Okay, the context, how the information is prepared for the receiver. How are you going to package it? Okay, what references can you use to put it in the appropriate context so people can visualize it? And then the impact. You know, what is it? What kind of a response are you looking for? And this is your plan before you even communicate your message. The 3 B's of effective communication during a meeting. I learned this from a 17-year-old, was to be brief, be specific, and then be seated. And I thought that was such a great suggestion. He found that out, by the way, did some research. That comes from FDR back when he was president in the 1940s. Be brief, be specific, and be seated. When many meetings are now conference calls, this is a challenge. Okay. Let's see, sometimes hard to gauge when we have conference calls. You're absolutely right. We're going to have to find ways to deal with conference calls, and maybe in another session I can talk about techniques for use to make the virtual conference call, the distributed team conference call, more effective. Here's some information that some of you might know. In receiving and transmitting messages in person, your body language and your tone of voice will actually be almost, 93% of your message. The phone, your voice tone is about 84% of your message. And email, the words are 100%. And keep in mind that email, the receiver, puts the tone in the email. So keep that in mind when you're communicating, and be very, very conscious of your body language and your tone of voice when you are communicating. All right. Here's a good quote for you. Treat people as if they were what they could be, and you help them become what they are capable of becoming. It's kind of associated with what we call the self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, believe in people. The last one is empathy, and empathy is your ability to understand and put yourself in the other person's shoes, that you see the unspoken words, the thoughts and expressions, you know, looking a little bit more deeply into a person. Make sure that you're listening very carefully. Make sure that you assess feelings and look for signs of stress and things like that before you react to an emotional issue. You know, take the time to consider what this other person might be going through and be sincere. Your team members will always assess your sincerity and appreciate a sincere approach. One more thing that is helpful in influencing is for you to become aware of what your organization is doing. Not just your department, the lines of business, the other business units. Interact with them whenever you can. Learn about the business. Learn about how business is conducted, what the processes are, financial processes, procurement processes. Take the time to learn about your organization. It will help you to plan your career, your next moves, and how to work better with each organization when you understand what their priorities are. Okay, just a few more things here, and I think that we'll start to wrap up because of the time. Engaging team members. This is a pretty good chart. I like this chart. Get some common ground. Make sure you're asking for input. And if you ask for input, by the way, you need to act on it. Don't simply ask it just for the sake of asking, but you have to ask on it. Get their opinion on how things can be changed, their concerns. As we said many times before, listen actively. Demonstrate your commitment. You need to be aware of, you know, why you think it's important, why this thing has to happen, and convince them about the things that would be beneficial not only to them, okay, so what's in it for you, what's in it for me, what's in it for the organization, okay? Those are the kinds of things that you need to focus on and really make sure people understand how committed you are to making things happen. Okay, to obtain buy-in and commitment, make sure people understand your mission. Make sure they understand why things need to be accomplished, what's important about it. Use the justification and explain it in detail. We're improving service. We're improving customer satisfaction. We're creating benefits for the employee. We're improving return on investment. Let's make sure we do talk about opportunities and consequences. If we do this, this could happen. If we don't do this, we could have some problems. So look at both opportunities and consequences, and also stating your expectations. Make sure that we have to set our expectations intentionally. We have to accomplish certain things, but we have to do it in a certain way, and we have to make sure people understand that in any particular endeavor, that there will be constraints, there will be issues that we're going to have to deal with that could be some obstacles. So we want to make sure we understand the rules that we have to play in, rules of engagement, things like that. Okay? Here's a list of 9 rules to improve any relationship. Okay, and these things are like a summary of what we talked about. Genuine enthusiasm, show respect for each individual, be supportive, and make sure we get management support. Give the individual or the team the benefit of the doubt. We don't have to criticize and be sarcastic when someone makes a comment. Give them the benefit of the doubt when they bring up something. They maybe weren't intentionally trying to create a problem. Maybe they were being sincere about something. We didn't see it the first time around. Give the individual a chance to contribute as much as possible. Right? That means put them in the right job, give them the right training, and give them support. Okay? Appreciation, acknowledgement, definitely important. If you have a situation with a person where you seem to be angered, you need to wait a little bit and let your emotions calm down a little bit so that you're going to be rational when you talk about that, and then confront the person in the appropriate way, okay? Trying to collaborate and understand, what the issues are and come up with a civil way to deal with it. And then share yourself and trust the individual. Give people the opportunity to perform for you. Okay, we're all project coaches. Coach means communicate, organize, attend to your people, challenge your team to be creative, and I like this last one, H, heal the working wounded. People definitely are going to get tired. They need leaders to help kind of invigorate them and make them feel good about their accomplishments. Okay, real quick story about the leadership, Lao Tzu. Basically, what we're saying here is that the leader doesn't tell people what to do. He kind of trusts them. He gives them the environment to work within and helps them succeed. And the last line is most important. And because he takes no credit, credit never leaves him. So you have to find a way to be the leader to get people to feel that they were very successful on their own. And that to me is a very strong and true sign of a leader. Okay, there's a difference between leadership and management. I created these acronyms. Okay, manager, my actions never actually generate enthusiastic response. And the leader, likable, energetic attitude deserving everyone's respect. And I think that what we have to do is we need to combine project manager and leader together to project leader and have that likable, energetic attitude deserving everyone's respect. And I think it's important, although many people will say that being likable is not a key to effective leadership. I'm going to say it's a big plus. It's a big plus. Okay? Teams. Do you have a team that is they eventually accept me, or is it a terrific experience among members? Let's focus on the terrific experience among members and not a mediocre team where people are just giving a half-hearted approach. Make it a terrific experience. Okay? The PIN box says it's establishing direction, it's aligning people, it's motivating and inspiring. That's what we need to do, find ways to motivate, inspire people, and if a change is coming, let's help people overcome those fears of change. Quote from James P. Lewis, who wrote many books on project management. It is followers, not organizations, that convey leadership. And before people will allow you to lead them, you must understand what they want from you and what they expect of you. Okay? And I think because of the time frame, I think that I'll kind of end this with a few comments, maybe a couple of questions on your part. And then the session is being recorded, so we will make this available for anyone that actually wants to review it and listen to it and hopefully share it with other people. But I like this. The clear and distinguishing feature about the process of leadership is the distinction between mobilizing others to do and mobilizing others to want to do. The difference between enlisting support and giving orders, between gaining commitment and commanding obedience. Okay, John C. Maxwell has a book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and it's called the law number 10 is the law of connection. You can't move people to action unless you first move them with emotion. You have to be a passionate, enthusiastic, energetic leader. And I've created a word for all of this, for all of us in PMI, not just the New York City chapter, but PMI. It's associated with kinetic and energy, and kinetic energy, the energy associated with motion, and I came up with the word CONNECT-tic Energy. My definition, the sustained energy experienced through a continuous movement forward, refueled by communication, lessons learned, teamwork, sharing of experiences, and visionary leadership. So let's get this kinetic energy out there and make it contagious to everyone, not only in New York City chapter, but in your teams and PMI as a whole. I think that there's so much more that we can do. So let's not look at the dark side of leadership, which is fear and punishment. Let's look at the positive side of leadership, which is on the organization, on people, understanding the impact of decisions, and really making the right decisions for the organization. So the questions here as we close: what can you do to encourage more collaboration between functional entities, improve the level of project management performance, and increase the value of project management in your organization? And how can we take take project management profession to higher levels of acceptance in our organizations? Those are your questions to consider going forward. Keep in mind International Project Management Day, which is November 6th, 2014. There are many things that we can do individually, organizationally, even internationally. www.internationalpmday.org, and I can certainly use help in getting that message out about recognizing the value of project managers. So keep that in mind. And the final thought here: goals give you go, all right? And success is like a train. Get started is the toughest part of the trip. Once you get up to speed, you will be hard to stop. And that is the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, we're going to make this available for you. But before we close out, anybody have any comments, any questions? Did you find this useful? And any other items that you want to share? Okay. What is WWIFY? That is what's in it for you. Okay, there's what's in it for me and there's what's in it for you. Are these four quadrants all the same priority or some high or medium? I'm going to say that they are all kind of one high-level priority. What they do is these are the kinds of things that you have to do collectively in order to get a very synergistic system approach to working with a team. You know, we have to make sure we get commitment. We have to explain why it's important. We have to listen to input. So all of them are equally important and all part of creating that high-performance team. Okay, together a project management excellence deck at work, and there are some points here that I can leverage. Excellent. Okay. Any other comments? Excellent presentation. Very useful and good timing. I'm putting together a PM excellence deck at work. Okay, excellent. Okay, if you need the deck, let me know. Okay, any other comments, any questions? We had quite a few people on here, you know. And by the way, I know I set this up rather quickly. I really wanted to share something in connection with the leadership meeting that's coming up this weekend on Saturday. Take this, if some of you are willing to, send me an email. I'll send you a copy of the slide deck and bring it with you to the session, and maybe you can reference it during your discussions and talk about this session and things that you may have learned from it, or simply put together you know, some thoughts based on this that you can use you know, during the team building and the discussions you're going to have. Okay. Yeah, Teresa, you can share this with your project managers in your group. No problem. If anybody else wants to, I really wanted to make this available to as many PMI volunteers, potential volunteers, project management, New York City chapter members, anyone that would be interested. I want to gain momentum. We want to build. We need more volunteers, but we also want to have very, very strong volunteer leadership and volunteer participation. So if you have a need for the presentation, send me an email to my address is Saladis, pmp@msn.com, or you can send it to preselect@pmi-nyc.org. Okay, and I know some of you wanted a PDU, so there's the PDU information. This is a Category B PDU, 1 PDU. Okay, and the information is here if you want to jot that down. And this will be available. We'll post it. It'll be posted on the International PM Day website, which is the most convenient place to pick up any of these particular webinars. And if you have any questions or you need additional information, send me an email. It's saladispmp@msn.com. And anyone that needs the presentation or would like to use it within their project management groups, feel free to just send me an email. And also encourage other people to go to www.internationalpmday.org, and they can visit or see this recording. It usually takes a couple of days to get the recording up, but feel free to take a look at that website. I think you'll find a lot of other webinars that are equally useful, and we try to do high-quality things for project managers around the world. So again, thank you very much, and I appreciate you attending. And again, I'm open to any comments you have by sending me a comment to my email. And again, thank you very much for taking your lunch hour to do this, and share the feedback with other people about the session. I'd like to do more of these for the chapter and for PMI as a whole, and also to promote International Project Management Day. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the day. Take care.